By the early 2000s, Iran was changing again. A new generation had come of age, born during war, raised during Reconstruction. They were educated, connected, and increasingly aware of global culture. Reformist President Mohammad Khatami had opened space for debate. Newspapers multiplied. Civil society organizations formed. University campuses became hubs of discussion. But structural power remained anchored in the office of the supreme leader. Ali Khamenei watched carefully. Revolutions, he believed, could be undone not only by foreign invasion, but by gradual ideological dilution. Reform and resistance. The reform movement sought rule of law expansion, greater press freedom, and more accountable governance. Parliament briefly shifted toward reformist dominance. Yet institutional counterweights remained strong. The Guardian Council disqualified candidates deemed insufficiently aligned with revolutionary principles. Judicial authorities closed reformist newspapers. Security forces monitored activism. The Islamic Republic was not a static system, it was a contested system, with reformist aspirations pushing against entrenched authority. Khamenei's approach was consistent: allow controlled debate, prevent structural change. The post-9/11 world. The attacks of September 11, 2001, reshaped global geopolitics. The United States invaded Afghanistan, then Iraq. Iran suddenly found American forces stationed on both its eastern and western borders. For Khamenei, this confirmed long-standing suspicions. He viewed U.S. regional expansion as encirclement. Publicly, he condemned American intervention. Privately, Iranian strategists recalibrated. In Iraq following the 2003 invasion, Iran saw opportunity. With Saddam Hussein removed, the same leader who had invaded Iran, Tehran cultivated relationships with Shia political movements. Strategic depth was no longer abstract theory. It was operational policy. The rise of Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. In 2005, Tehran's mayor, a hardline populist, won the presidency. Mahmoud Ahmadinejad campaigned on anti-corruption, economic justice, and revolutionary values. His rhetoric was confrontational. He challenged Western powers openly. Under Ahmadinejad, nuclear development accelerated. Tensions with the international community intensified. Khamenei supported the general trajectory of resistance but maintained oversight. The supreme leader's role was not to mirror the president, but to remain above faction. The nuclear question. Iran's nuclear program became the central diplomatic issue of the 2000s. Tehran insisted its program was peaceful. Western governments feared weaponization. Sanctions intensified. Oil exports faced restrictions. Banking channels narrowed. Economic pressure mounted. Khamenei framed the nuclear program as sovereign right. He portrayed sanctions as coercive tools designed to undermine independence. For him, retreat would signal vulnerability. Defiance signaled strength, economic strain. Sanctions combined with internal inefficiencies strained Iran's economy. Inflation rose. Currency fluctuated. Youth unemployment persisted. Ahmadinejad implemented subsidy reforms and cash transfer programs. Some viewed these policies as populist redistribution. Others criticized them as fiscally unsustainable. Throughout, Khamenei maintained public support for resilience. He emphasized resistance economy, self-reliance amid pressure. The 2009 election. In 2009, Ahmadinejad sought re-election. His primary challenger was reformist candidate Mir Hossein Mousavi. Campaign rallies drew massive crowds. When results declared Ahmadinejad the winner by a wide margin, allegations of irregularities spread rapidly. Millions took to the streets. The protest became known as the Green Movement. Demonstrators demanded transparency, accountability, and electoral fairness. For the Islamic Republic, this was the most serious internal challenge since the revolution. The protests were urban, educated, and persistent. They were not fringe, they were national. Decision point. Khamenei faced a critical choice. He could authorize recounts and extended investigation, risking institutional fracture. Or he could affirm the results, prioritizing system stability. In a Friday sermon, he endorsed the declared outcome. Security forces moved to disperse demonstrations. Arrests followed. Media restrictions tightened. The protests gradually subsided. Aftermath. The Green Movement left a lasting imprint. Many reformist leaders were placed under house arrest. Political discourse narrowed. The state expanded cyber monitoring capacities. The Revolutionary Guard's influence grew further, particularly in internal security. To supporters of the system, order had been preserved. To critics, legitimacy had been damaged. But the institutional core endured, and Khamenei remained at its center. Arab Spring and regional turbulence. Beginning in 2011, uprisings swept across the Arab world. Governments in Tunisia, Egypt, Libya, and Yemen faced mass protests. In Syria, demonstrations escalated into civil war. Iran supported the Syrian government, viewing it as key strategic ally. The conflict became protracted and brutal. Iranian advisors and allied militias operated within Syrian territory. Khamenei framed the Syrian intervention as defense against extremist destabilization. Critics viewed it as costly foreign entanglement. A system hardened. By 2013, the Islamic Republic had weathered 2 decades of reformist pressure, intensifying sanctions, mass protests, regional upheaval. Khamenei's governance approach had hardened. Security institutions were stronger, political vetting more assertive, foreign policy more entrenched, yet public frustration persisted, particularly over economic hardship. The next chapter would bring a new president promising diplomatic recalibration and a nuclear agreement that briefly reshaped Iran's global position. Closing monologue: power is most visible when challenged. The 2000s tested Ali Khamenei more than any previous decade. He confronted reform movements, economic sanctions, and the largest protests since 1979. Each time, he chose institutional preservation over concession. He strengthened security structures. He affirmed ideological boundaries. He expanded regional alliances. The Islamic Republic did not collapse, it adapted, within limits he defined. But pressure was building, and the next confrontation would unfold not only in the streets, but at the negotiating table.